and welcome back to another BobBlast. Hi, I'm Bob Burridge, and this is all about how I paint the illusion of figures in my abstract work or my other kinds of work that I do. But I do it three ways. Let me show you. The first way that I like to paint figures is, first of all, forget about anatomy and all that great stuff. I mean, that's another whole way of doing it. I do it with carrots. As you can see, I just start off with black and white at first and make these carrots a little tiny head. Make your heads too tiny. We all make them too big. But anyway, dot, and then make the shape of a carrot. Broad shoulders sometimes, all the way down to a point. And then after that, I start putting some color into them, painting the illusion, not trying to be specific here, right? And that becomes my practice page. If you do it like 3 or 4 rows like this on a full sheet watercolor paper, it gets to be a pretty neat thing just by itself. You might want to frame that and put it in your living room. Anyway, this is how I teach myself how to paint, by doing it over and over and over, the carrot people. The other one that I like to practice with is what I call the Rembrandt lighting. You know, Rembrandt, thinking of the people in front of always a window or an open space, an open door, to get that dramatic lighting. They didn't have light bulbs in those days. Anyway, it's this kind of thing where you light the most important part, you know, coming from a single light source. And so we have the Rembrandt, the way he did it dramatically was dark, mid-tone to light. Light coming in here, shining on the floor. In that case, the figure is the darkest down here to show the drama. Look at all the contrast, all the mid-tone all the way up to the hot spot, the focal point, that kind of a thing. So male, female thing, same thing. It's a carrot. It's a carrot. But this time, now we're giving it some dark, mid-tone, light. Dark, mid-tone, light. Always a tiny head. This is where I kind of keep all the tones together at one time, but I'm still keeping the values together rather, but I'm still doing the same dark to light. Doesn't have to be this dramatic. They're a little more sensitive. Kind of, you're starting to get the idea there. Here's my practice page. Start off with a gray piece of watercolor paper. You're halfway done. You know, you just put in the lightest lights and the darkest darks, and you do it again and again and again. And then we start adding color, and we start getting into color. Oh boy, it gets to be great then too. And look how all of a sudden you say, oh, that's a figure. You don't think about anatomy, shapes. You're looking at the painting. After a while, we're going to get into some really fancy stuff where we add more things like collages. Collage work. And you're still working from carrots, but a whole lot more interesting. But you start off by practicing doing carrots. Don't skip that part, and it becomes a fun page. Let me get started and I'll show you how I do it. So my first way are practicing carrots of all things. Carrots on a really, lots of sloppy, beautiful, loose, watery black paint, acrylic paint. And here's how you do it. One small dot. Okay, it's a watercolor piece of paper, small dot. We make our dots too big. Don't. Don't even have to connect, push down hard. Okay, now as you're coming back down, don't worry about the anatomy. There's no perfect person. There you go, a carrot. Silly, isn't it? I'm going to do a couple more. Do it again. Small head, push down hard. They don't have to be pretty. Just make them these cool carrots. Look at the character already. Pardon the character, but that's true. Small head, push down hard. It starts to paint itself. You let the brush do it. Coming down, it looks like they're carrying something like over their back, you know, like a big bundle of something, you know, that kind of stuff. Or a guitar case, that kind of, see how it goes? And you just keep doing this, and after a while, don't stay too slow rather. By the way, use a big brush. You already now have too big of an idea with a really tiny little brush. Keep it going. After a while, look at the graphic design of the whole thing. It looks like a crowd. Again, nothing's perfect here. Large people, other people, look like they're further away. Notice the heads are all the same. Even if it's somebody really far away, here's another carrot. The heads really line up. We're all walking on the beach. Next time you walk on a beach, look how all the heads are all lined up. Great illusion. All right, another one. And I don't connect. There's a carrot. There you go. And just keep doing these. They don't look like pretty people, but it gives the illusion as I keep pressing out. Now, one more thing. Right now they're floating in space. I like to make sure there's a light source. Maybe the sun. So here we go. A little bit of a shadow. Boy, whew. Again, it doesn't have to be. You want to anchor them. It's that kind of illusion. So practice this in black and white over and over and over every day. If there's a white space, fill it up with another person. There you go. And then after a while, you're going to take that little person and not just have a carrot, but maybe 2 legs. Oh, I like to emphasize it. By the way, this is all still being done with one large brush. What I like about large brushes is you can go this way or this way or this way. You have choices. So there you are. And again, make sure you anchor your subject matter. Now that's black and white. There were my carrots. Hey, let me show you my Rembrandt technique. Which I love to do so much too. All right. Blank piece of watercolor paper. With my brush. Give myself a whole lot of watered down black acrylic paint. You can do this with your inks, your dyes, watercolor pencils. Well, here we go. First of all, think of a figure in a dark room. So what I'm going to do is just jump the gun a little bit, and I'm going to wet this surface and make it a mid-tone. That way, I'll be halfway done. Mid-tone. You can do this on gray paper, too. Here, we're making our own. So what I mean mid-tone, it's not pure black, it's not pure white. The mid-tone. We're working on 3 different values. The white, dark, and there you are. I'm halfway done. Now, for Rembrandt, let's do the carrot person. But I'm going to be also doing this. There we go. We can go this way. Now this, you might want to do it a little bit slower. Because you have to start thinking, where's the figure in this? You're looking the silhouette of the figure. And again, I like to give my figures as if they're characters in a play, so they're very anatomical. And not correct either. Coming back down. Remember the carrot. Don't forget the carrot. Let's get that carrot back here again. And again, we're working with just the darkest dark, right? Now here comes the other dark down here. Here comes the other part of the carrot. You're starting to see it now, aren't you? She's dancing, it looks like, with one leg already back like that. And let's get right into the white. Now here again, don't get your skinny brushes. We'll put you right into detail. Detail, you don't need detail in this. It's the illusion, right? So here comes the lightest light against the darkest dark. She's coming down in about here. Maybe the shoulder comes down over here. And again, this is like a 2-inch brush. That's the highlight, right? That's the lightest light. There's no gray in any of this yet. The gray's already there. I guess to speed things up a little bit, I'm going to use a wet finger, the old wet finger technique, and do it with my finger, blend it a little bit. You don't want a harsh line back in here. So we have dark, mid-tone, lightest light. Now we're going to do the opposite down here. My white paint's really just gesso for this demo. I like this illusion of her running. And we're looking at contrast right now. Mostly just contrast. There we go. Keep your brushes super wet because you want the paint to just flow off, just like it is right now. A large brush will hold more paint. So don't start painting with a tiny little brush. Just start getting into detail. There we go. Now comes into some of the finer parts of this. So maybe I want to bring this down a little bit more. Using one brush during the whole time. It's white right now. And I'll just have it go off. Come on down in here. Making this nice and bright. Nothing more than white paint. This is actually white gesso I'm using. And a little bit of a neck. Again, it's pretty exaggerated. Now, again, I don't want to have a straight line across because it'll cut the figure. This is where you come in with just water on a brush. I'll do it with a brush. So there's just water on here. I'm going to blend it a little bit. You don't want a hard line. You want to make the background out of focus. Remember that, out of focus. And to do that, you put it all in soft edges, that kind of a thing. And the eye will always go to the part of the painting that has the sharpest edges and the most contrast. So I like to get in there and get that part out of the way first. I'll give her narrower shoulders, cutting in here a little bit. Here we go. Hello. Oh, it's you again. And again, I'm coming in with just a wet brush, blending this, making this somewhat out of focus, and just blending this so you don't have a hard line. And I'm just doing it right now with the existing paint on here. So we have my lightest light. I'll make her head just a little bit bigger. There we go. Yeah. And don't try and do hair and things like that. That's just, to me, it's there, done. Get in, get out. Don't sit there and start tickling it to death. Get in, do it, get out of there. If you go back, it's going to start getting kind of wobbly, and you're not going to like that. Now I'm going to come back in here and just to speed things up a bit, and also come back in here, my legs, that part of the torso, and your job is to make it exciting, very painterly, no detail. Get it. Now we have to anchor her. Remember that. Otherwise, see now. And we also know where the light's coming from. The light's coming from here because the shadow's going out this way. A little detail, folks. Where do you put the shadow? Going away from the light source. There you are. Something like that. Now let me show you my third way of painting the illusion of the figure. And now my third way is what is known as reductive painting, or I call it negative shape painting. Same thing, where you take the whole thing that's a mess, really a mess, and you can come back in and start doing negative shape painting, reducing this mess into more of a figure. Now, why is that a figure? Because you've been practicing it. Now we get to be a little bit more creative. Like down here, it's still the carrots. There's your 2 carrots, a lot of collage work in here. And then it was a mess, as you can see, but then I came back to make the background a little bit softer and get rid of the parts that didn't work. You know, and this is the more simplified one, a carrot, but a little more painterly quality to it. Just as much of a carrot as a pure black and white. So that's how I do my reductive kinds of painting, or also known as negative shape painting. I'm gonna get started right now. Here we go. I have 2 pieces already started. I have just the primaries out right now. These are my Holbein acrylic paints, red, yellow, blue, and a whole lot of white. I always paint with a whole lot of white. I like the white because it makes the paint more opaque. And I have my black, of course. Now this is a 1-inch flat, and I'm gonna make this a little bit more interesting, quite frankly. I want to, first of all, as I said, reductive. I want to go right in here, and right now it's just one person. Looks like a sofa kind of a thing. I'm going to put another person in here. Make it a little bit more interesting. Put up different colors on my brush. Add some blue. What's that blue doing there? Don't worry about the color wheel on this one. We're just making the painting more interesting, right? Get in, get out. We'll see where we go with this one. Now, It looks like now I'm starting to see contrast. This looks like it's going to be a sofa. This is the lady sitting on the sofa. Come back and paint her in again. Don't lose her, she's important. Here's the sofa. Top of the sofa. Well, negative shape painting with the arm. See how that works? Here's the body. Here's the sofa continuing. Negative shape painting. Get rid of the part that doesn't look like her body. And just go like that. I'm just making it all up. Of course you are too. Thank goodness. Huh? No one really looks like this, but look how imaginative it starts to become. Now, let's do some negative shape painting or reductive painting. Come over here. First of all, I've got so much excitement. I'm gonna put her in this background. Pull the background together. Oh yeah, this is crazy now. And now I'm just using a paper towel. Oh, I like it. I like it. Talk about getting loose. At least this is the way I do it. It doesn't mean it's the right way. But boy, am I having a good time today. Yeah, here we go. And so this is not the time to start making sense. There we go. Is that great song? Stop Making Sense. This is yellow paint, acrylic, primary yellow. Simplifying the background, making it dramatic by just bringing in some white up in here. Now I'm painting. Now I'm painting. Now I can feel that canvas. Whew. And bringing them out. There we go. This is how you take a mess, and if you do some negative shape painting, it just brings out the figure. And again, make the background softer. And I'll put this figure in focus. And on and on and on. It's nice loose abstract. I like it. And I'm going to make this even darker. That will give me more contrast here. Which means, look at me, right? The eye goes to the part of the painting that has the most contrast first. So give it some importance. Don't hide it. Well, this is just a quick demo right now. I'm gonna start painting with both hands. It's more exciting when I do that. Make sure you put some hand salve on before you do this, so they're pretty much protected. There we go. Well, that's pretty much how I start to bring, in a reductive way, from a mess, the figure in a landscape or an abstract painting, indoors or outdoors. Make sure that the most contrast is around the subject matter or where you want the eye to go. So simple. But practice first on carrots, turn it into a story. 1, 2 people, 3 people. Think of the contrast. Look at that. Everything we just got finished looking at. Now you put that all into a painting using the same techniques, dark, mid-tone, light, and we're ready to go. And it'll get you going. Paint more every day and keep your brushes wet. I'll see you on the next BobBlast.